a warm welcome on behalf of Tech Plus Media and specifically ITPV and IT Bar News. What we intend to do is over the next 45 minutes to 1 hour, discuss on the impact of the union budget on the technology industry and more per se the effect on the technology channel fraternity, different entities in the ecosystem. What were your expectations from the budget? How much were those expectations met? And especially this was a budget critical, the first post-COVID budget, if we may say, and in light of the grim economic situation, how you felt this budget can benefit the technology industry. We are joined by Mr. Harikrishna Prabhu of Technomind, Pranav Pandya of DevIT, Alok Gupta of Softmart, and Jiten Mehta of Magnamius. So we have four panelists, and my first question would be a more generic one, which I'd like to address to all of you. See, what we have seen this year, there has been a focus in the budget on infrastructure as well as on the healthcare sector. So keeping in light, what do you think have been the salient features of the budget, specifically for the technology industry and more so the technology channel? So we may start with, yeah, Jiten, we may start with you.
Yeah, hi. Good evening, all of you. See, the budget, as we all are aware, it was rather more of a practical budget than the popularist budget. You know, as usual in a normal political scenario comes, and of course, the result we have seen is our bull, which has been moving high and high, and it has really crossed all the barriers basically of 3,000 in 2 days, 3,500 in 2 days. So yes, budget was good enough. I think so. She has really taken care of a lot of things. Yeah, one or two are missed out, but majority of the things, if you see from a IT or a tech perspective style, she is going to boost to like infrastructure and healthcare, which helps anyway. Everything is tech is today is an enabler for all of this. So definitely there is a big opportunity for a tech player like us, and of course because of technology implementation, channel fraternity is also going to be a very important for this opportunity. Second thing is, if you see for a startup, tech startups, they have given extended the holidays, tax holidays again, which is a direct indirect boost to technology players. Few more positives are there, but one thing which is two more thing which is they have missed out is I would like to highlight more. Other than I'm sure good things people will talk about it. One thing is probably a lot of industry had demanded for a COVID relief. In terms of, for an example, I give you a lot of customer has given a work for home solution to their employees. Could be a laptop, could be a software, which industry had demanded for an expenditure instead of capitalization. I think which we have totally missed out. If they would have done this expenditure allowed for this year, a COVID for a work from home situation, I think so there would be a big boost to a IT industry. People would have expended it out and probably spent more money in a Q4 probably for the next year budgeting, or at least in a Q1 probably. So that is what I believe is a little miss out of the budget part. Another good thing is I believe the GST audit has been waived off from next year, which is a big relief because it's a big work, like it's a big paperwork. You spend almost a month or more, and and you pay FTP to charters, basically auditors, and I think so that has been waived off, which is another good side for a people like us in a SI or a channel fraternity, that our cost is also been reduced, and probably the time has been reduced onto this. I do not know when will they make it effective from. Is it from 21 or is it pro rata from the previous year? But yes, this is the definitely boost to tech industries, and of course any small MSME partners for this. And yeah, other good things are always there, but I would leave it to my other esteemed panelists to talk about it. We have esteemed guys here who will have a better knowledge than us probably, and they'll take care of it. That's all from my side. Over to you, Rajni.
Thank you. We'll take these points up. I'll come to you, Pranav. Your views. on the budget, and what you think were the salient points for the technology industry?
First and foremost, as Jitan has already said, the key points which directly that comes to mind, he has already mentioned. Having said that, I would like to say that in a little bit of details, for startups, the tax holiday, as Jitan has said, capital gain exemption, revision in definition of small company under Companies Act is actually something which is in a way will be a game changer. Similarly, relaxation in incorporation of one-person company, that is also genuinely a point which needs to be taken note of, because that's what the entrepreneurial spirit of our country's youth is going to come at play. And people who are getting involved in this startup industry per se will also be making quite a bit of good use out of this announcement. But all said and done, when the actual documents come and the nitty-gritties come, we'll be able to see how in reality it translates. Similarly, I'm talking, there's one fantastic point, which was reduction in residential status threshold for individual shareholder of OPC from 182 days to 120 days. So NRI is freely allowed to be shareholder of OPC as a part of this is going to be another game-changing activity. I'm sure all of my colleagues would be agreeing on this, because as a company ourselves, when we are involved into, besides being a end-to-end service provider entity, we are also part of one of the leading brand, which is Devex, and it is about the startup accelerator and incubator. And that's where we actually see this is going to be a great game changer, a business game changer. Overall, in terms of business per se, the 6 pillars that the lady, madam, has spoken about, the finance minister lady, well, all those areas is where the IT companies are already playing its role. I would put it this way, a very significant and very innovative and pioneering role altogether. In fact, we have seen the way in which these were the areas where IT companies actually made things happen during COVID. So in the pandemic times and the lockdown times. So innovation and research development, R&D, those announcements actually needs to be looked at, and we unfortunately in India are not looking at this aspect in a detailed way or in a much more granular way. And this, as an IT service provider in my company, we have categorically have a team which is going to look into this and trying to find the areas where we will be able to play a role. Skilling is another area, technology adoption is another area. So yes, these are the places and in these 6 pillars that Madam has mentioned. Namely, I would go for health, as we are already aware about it, reinvigorating the human capital by skilling, infrastructure. So yes, for us in IT companies, we have got a full platter to serve and to go ahead and make a growth-oriented approach the next year. Handing over to you, Rajnish.
Thank you. Again, certain important points. We'll take these up for discussion. I'll come to you, Mr. Harikrishna. Your views and specifically on the impact on the technology sector and the channel fraternity. What would you say the salient points?
Hari, you are mute. You have to unmute yourself.
So sorry. So what I'm saying is, thanks, Rajnish. Let me not get into the policy matters, which is very clearly covered by Jitin and Pranab. But just to highlight, like the way you said, what is in it for IT, fraternity. It is very encouraging. It is very heartening to see that government recognizes the technology as the backbone to the 6 pillars that Madam has spoken about. whether it is healthcare, whether it is infrastructure, whether it is, anything for that matter, it is the technology that matters, and that has been very, very clearly identified and recognized. So some of the very important pointers that we need to look at it is here, like Jiten Bhai said, one is work from home and how is it happening, how it could have been supported, but encouraging the startups to possibly look at investing more and more with tax holidays and other things. IT infrastructure will get a sort of boom, and possibly we will have much more buying coming in there. Before that, just wanted to highlight on few things that I wanted to tell you, just to touch upon some of the policy matters that Pranav spoke about and Jiten spoke about. Some of the things, like apart from OPCs being encouraged to get incorporated, one of the important factor is micro segment has been broadened. The 2 crore turnover people now can go to, or the 20 crore turnover people can come into the micro segment. And some of these, policy matters or your compliance needs have been sort of relaxed. That gives you to do ease of business, right? It could be a sort of mandatory board meetings. It could be, generating tax, generating sort of cash flow statement. It could be rotation of auditors. It could be anything for that matter, which actually helps reduce the burden on the people, the entrepreneurs who are between 2 and 20 crores. That actually encourages a lot of people to get into the entrepreneurship. The other one possibly is introduction of AI and ML in terms of policy matters, which includes filing of MCA or anything for that matter. That means it is, coming out of the human intervention. That means possibly a quicker reaction or the quicker response time, availability 24/7, or it could be even sort of, bringing down the corruption and making the entire system seamless to support the startups or any entrepreneurship, or the organization, is actually very heartening. The other important thing that I would like to highlight with respect to technology or IT is, private sectors being encouraged to start or invest in data center parks. That is big for partners or the IT solution providers or the hardware or technology providers like us, because that opens a big opportunity for all of us. The second one, 8,000 crore investment in quantum computing coming up. Right? It's again possibly a step towards investing in more and more R&D. It's investing in more and more sort of innovations and other things. The very important thing that I wanted to highlight is the investment towards the digital infrastructure. Again, a very important aspect of encouragement for guys like us, because as soon as we talk about digital infrastructure, digitization, that means everything is around IT. More and more apps coming in, APIs are bound to be here. The cloud becomes a sort of no-go. The security comes into picture. More and more digitization, more and more people wanting to use handphones, use mobile phones, use laptops. More and more people coming into sort of digitization. That means you need a small IT infrastructure, which could be a laptop or a desktop or a printer, or it could be a small antivirus and a firewall kind of thing. I'm talking about a very basic level of IT infrastructure, which we talk about. In India, we talk about 40 million people, 40,000, I think 40 million SMBs are there, and everybody starts investing in this. That itself is a big business opportunity for all of us. Apart from, I'm talking about enterprise class security that is required for anybody to sort of preserve or protect themselves in terms of all the digitization. The other point that I wanted to highlight is incentivizing the e-payments. That's again a big boom. 1,500 crores has been set aside. That means you will have more people coming into possibly coming into the e-payments. People, the adoption rate increasing, incentivizing people to possibly pay or even collect would increase. That again possibly will help players like us get more and more opportunities in terms of IT infrastructure. These are the few things that I'm directly talking with respect to our industry. What is in it for the IT fraternity? What is in it for the channel community? And how we can possibly benefit out of this. Rest possibly we can take it forward.
Thank you. So you have mentioned many of these important areas like incentivizing the digital payment. Then on the AI ML front, we'll take these up separately. I'll come to you, Alok. This overall budget sort of, you have heard all the three panelists and sort of giving the final word on this. What do you think have been the main salient features of this budget specifically for the technology industry and the technology channel? Alok.
Good evening, everybody. I think this budget is a very progressive budget in terms of how it's planning to raise funds and how it's planning to spend it. Currently, the last year which has gone by has been pandemic stricken, and we've seen a degrowth in the economy of almost 6 to 7%. Now, by spending more, the finance minister is trying to ensure that the growth pattern is back on track. Already we see December collection, which are collected in January for 10 this year. That means in terms of taxation, the economy is back, but certain sectors of the economy are still to come back. Tourism, also other sectors which are in entertainment are yet to come back in full terms. One of the salient features, which if you see in the fine print, is that the government is promoting digitization indirectly and directly. One of the proposals in the budget is that organizations which have up to 10 crores worth of turnover will not get a tax audit done in case the payments are made at least 95% in digitization. Now, these kind of environments will encourage more and more small SMEs and MSMEs to take payment in digitization in digital form and make payments in digital form. This will require both technology to come into those companies, because unless if the payments are made in digital format, obviously it requires technology to happen. So I think this indirect and direct, the government is spending more, and much of that money, or at least some portion of the money, will be technology driven. So whenever there's a large project, to manage it requires technology, to maintain it requires technology. So though there is not a direct connection in terms of how much IT expenditure is going to be done by the government is not possibly increased too much, but indirectly I think the impetus of that 3 to 5 lakh crores, which more money which will go into the economy, will lead to more business for technology.
Okay, thank you. So we have heard from all our panelists, and I'll take up specific important areas from here. One, what we have heard is there has been a conscious effort to both directly and indirectly promote digitization. What we have seen in terms of more transactions and are encouraged to be done digitally, then in terms of incentivization for the smaller companies in case they are doing their transactions digitally. So my question, and this I'm open to all panelists, any one of you can take it up. What do you think will be the outcome of this effort to directly or indirectly encourage digitization in terms of see, there are lots of secondary issues involved here. Once digitization happens, security issues and connectivity issues. So how do you see the traction happening among the small companies, and how do you think this can lead to growth in especially the smaller businesses? So any one of you from the panel can take this up.
Okay, I would like to go first.
Yeah.
See, I think Hari Krishna Prabhu was has spelled out all the areas which is already going to accountable for the traction in the digital industry or the IT services industry that we all are into. All of us, all friends out here, and ISODA at large, or into that matter, quite a few SMEs from NASCOM and people like us in Gujarat. Besides being ISODA and NASCOM fraternity, we also have a Geisha fraternity. All of us as SME, IT service providers, will be expecting, rather than small companies, initial traction would be naturally be expected from the government itself, because all said and done, we all agree, government is the biggest consumer of the IT services. And the way in which it is trying to promote digitization and even talking of AI ML in terms of ease of governance, as the lady has mentioned while mentioning the taxation easement for the people at large. We would be seeing definitely all facets of the IT services getting traction, getting that kind of lead generation, getting that kind of businesses evolving out of the direct or indirect government or the public sector arena. We as a company, being a major player out there, we are able to envisage this very clearly. That's number one. Number two, while we were talking about the relaxation in the incorporation of one-person company, especially the revision in the definition of small company under Companies Act. Well, these are the areas where people will be able to come up with spending of the in terms of digitization, especially in the small companies. I'm talking of not the middle-sized enterprises, but the small-sized enterprises too. I can see the traction actually happening in the places, by and large, in Gujarat and even in Mumbai. That's the feel we are getting already from our team. So, Rajneesh, definitely the digitization push that the government has gone for, and it is asked and it has encouraged people to adapt. And thanks to, again, I'm coming back to this, the quote unquote COVID impact on new normal has made people realize that IT is the mainstay which is going to help them down the line in any kind of scenario that they are going to face. And it is also going to help them in rationalizing their business decisions. So we will be seeing traction definitely from the public sector and in private sector, from the smaller entities at first, and then probably the larger or the mid-sized entities. This is my take.
Okay, thank you. Anyone would like to add on the likely outcomes of this digitization push? Any of the other panelists would like to add?
So let me add. Apart from whatever highlighted and whatever Pranav said, right? Opportunity is big for us because of the adoption of digitization. Whether it could be adoption by a merchant towards the digitization or a consumer towards the digitization, both needs the IT infrastructure, and that becomes the backbone. The other could be, I'm just trying to think aloud and trying to relate it to possibly the economy as such. The digitization means what? The payment actually is not in cash; it is directly getting into the bank. That actually expands the tax horizon. They may not come into the tax horizon, but we know where exactly the money is coming from and where exactly the economy is moving. So that actually helps possibly the government to reduce the burden on a true taxpayer moving forward. May not be 1 year, 2 years down the line, maybe 3, 4, 5 years down the line, but we are on the right path. We are in the right direction towards that, so that the exchequer, the money actually comes into the government is much more higher than what it is. It could be in terms of GST, it could be in terms of IT, it could be in terms of any other avenues that actually helps government to invest back into the economy, invest back into the people, so that again it comes back to people like us who are actually the building blocks of the Indian infrastructure. It could be anything that I said, all the 6 pillars that have been highlighted here. I think that's where we are. That's where we are, and I think that's one possibly the big boost for the economy is what I'm looking at.
Okay.
If I can add on to that, Rajnish, is
Sure.
with this digitization and online transactions, the cyber fraud and cyber security also will be part of it. So a lot of us in our fraternity are into this business, probably being IT, cyber security and all. So there is a big opportunity for all of us. So it is automatically, indirectly, you are pushing all the products around a digital IT infrastructure.
Okay. Thank you.
So all second and Rajnish, the entire facet of the IT service provider and activity are going to be impacted in a positive way, and it will translate into a business proposition for all of us.
Okay. The other part that was touched upon, one of the panelists touched upon, was this encouragement towards the data centers in the business parks. So my question was, all of you, I'm sure most of your customers we have seen during the time since they were moved to this work from home and subsequently work from anywhere environment, this increasing push towards the cloud environment. Keeping in light, and once they move to cloud environment, there has been going to be an increasing digitization. Even as normalcy resumes, the digitization bandwagon has sort of already started, if we may say. So keeping in light of that, how this data center and encouragement towards data center will push further cloud adoption amongst enterprises, and how all of you who are working to address these customers, how this will benefit you. Maybe this time I'll start with you, Alok.
The cloud adoption has been prevalent and growing in the country from the last 5 years or, and there was a big push to cloud deployment even amongst the SMEs during the pandemic. Even a lot of small companies which had on-site operations, and during the pandemic, even users of software like Busy, Tally were going to the cloud and making their data available across the through the internet, so that they can work from home and the accountant can also work from home. I see that with the pandemic coming back to normal in the next few months, maybe next year, the abrupt push which has gone to the cloud would reduce, and only cloud push, which is with the cloud migration, will go to serious business, which makes financial sense as well as logical sense in terms of logistics. So a lot of people who possibly even move to the cloud may move back, especially people who are using Tally and Busy may come back to their operations as the offices now start operation. But I think a lot of companies will now start using cloud as a backbone for the backup solutions to their physical infrastructure. People have taken advantage of the cloud during the pandemic, and they would now use it to improve their operations rather than just a stopgap to work from home. So I think the strategic aspect will be how to use cloud to improve operations and improve reliability and flexibility rather than work from home. Right now, most of the cloud push during the pandemic has happened only for work from home.
Okay, so that's a very interesting perspective. So I have an additional question for you around that. The strategic shift, you will say, okay, that now increasingly the imperative will not only be work from home, but more a strategic push. Having said that, I'm talking from the solution provider perspective. Solution providers like all of you have definitely helped many of your customers in this abrupt shift towards cloud, as you are saying. So, if there is a sort of a pullback or comeback more towards a on-prem kind of environment, how will that impact the business of the solution providers who helped move that shift? Or do the solution providers also need to reorient their business strategies?
So, Rajnish, I'll take that up. So, see, Rajnish, people have started moving on a cloud 5 years, probably, or 6 years back. You know, the cloud buzzword is there from 2013, and it really came into practice from 2016-17 when these public cloud players like Amazon and Microsoft came into India, and they started their own data center in India with tie-up with whichever company it is. So, if you see already what Alok is saying, people may come back. They've already started coming back. Alok bhai, trust me, I've done a lot of reverse migration because of the financial aspect. They went on a cloud saying, "Arey, aap cloud pe nahi ho. You are too, you are not up to the mark on a technology." So people went on a cloud without really understanding, and 2 years, 3 years down the line, a lot of people came back. So whichever way it is like a stock market. Either you buy or you sell. Broker is earning his money. So similarly, even if you move to a cloud or you come back on a premises, is the partners who are going to charge. There is not going to be free. So there's a big opportunity. Yes, again in last March, a lot of people abruptly moved on a cloud, either 100% cloud or probably at least hybrid. So those who have come back have gone back, and trust me, I have already got some requests of a customer who wants to now come back slowly. As Alok said, is probably they want their backup or a DR to remain on a cloud, or an antivirus server, or probably ADC, or anyway Office application is already on cloud. So on their ERP would be on premises, which is the most financial hungry, who gives you the most of the your monthly cost, and balance non-critical servers will remain on a cloud. So hybrid solution is already in place, and definitely there is a big opportunity for a partner to get them on a cloud, get them down, make it hybrid, whichever way it is. It's always like our money and our this thing. So it's a big opportunity, as I told you, whether up or down you charge. So that's a good opportunity for us. Yeah, Hari.
Okay.
Adding to what, let me take this just to add on to what it is, Rajnish. Adding to what Jiten Bhai said and Alok Bhai said, see, cloud is here to stay, whether we like it or not. It could be because of the big 4 or 5 pushing the cloud, adoption rate higher, or it could be availability of most of the applications on cloud today. And at the end of the day, it's ease of operations, operational excellence, ease of doing business, wherever I am, accessibility to my data. That's what matters. The concern when it comes to cloud adoption were two. One is the cost of cloud adoption. We all thought putting the data onto the cloud and rest all, I don't need the infrastructure. No, the data actually costs. The uploading and the downloading of the data, or the management of the data onto the cloud actually costs, and that is actually possibly a sort of discouraging factor for some of the SMBs to go back to the on-prem. But that is very minimal. The second aspect was on the security part of it. But today we have evolved. We have gone beyond the initial days of what the the doubts or the issues that we used to face in cloud adoption. Today, the cloud security is so good that people have started moving their business critical applications onto cloud. It could be as simple as an encryption of VMs to, it could be anything for that matter. Let me not get into the technology. But the one point that we need to tell you is the cloud is here to stay. The digitization or the data center infrastructure that you're talking about, or anything for that matter, will boost the cloud adoption. The second question that you had, Rajnish, was this data center parks that we are talking about. The very word that data center park, and it is not just a pure data center that we are talking about, is moving towards cloud. it is bringing consumer to access their data or access internet or accessibility to any application that they want at wherever they are, right? And that's what this cloud or the data center park will help them do. Data center park is not a big data center like a Azure data center or a AWS data center or a control-less data center is built. It is bringing multiple small data center together and make it as a park, and somebody in a private entity manages the entire stuff by giving higher security, by giving the manageability, by giving everything that is required to secure the data that is being accessed. So coming back, cloud will go higher and higher. Today, Amazon or the AWS does about 800 million of revenue in India. Microsoft Azure does about 400 to 450 million, and that is only doubling and tripling year on year. So as IT fraternity, as the part of the IT channel ecosystem, I think it is a big opportunity for us to adopt, skill ourselves, reskill ourselves, and be part of that journey, whether it is providing the cloud infrastructure, whether it is providing the cloud services, it could be migration, it could be anything for that matter, or even cloud security, or even the cloud users. I myself as an SMB and as a distributor, every application of mine is on cloud, and that was much before pandemic. And believe me, during pandemic, not even one day we had any issue in terms of operational hindrances, because we from the day one were on cloud. So I think that will continue to happen, and I'm sure there are people who actually look at the cost factors, and there are people who are doubtful about some securities who might move back. As Jiten Bhai said, that's again an opportunity, because reverse migration also costs, and possibly be part of the journey and make that opportunity in favor of us. Over to you.
Thank you. I'll come on one point which Jiten Bhai mentioned initially. The one expectation, what sort of he mentioned, was not addressed properly in terms of the capital, the expenditure which the companies incurred for people working from home. So I'm asking to all of you. All of you are in that mid-sized company range, and I'm sure even for your own workforce, at the initial days of the pandemic, definitely they had to move towards work from home. So from your perspective, for mid-sized companies, this expenditure which you had to incur by providing them the laptops and network connectivity and whatever other security issues, and even as things are moving towards normal, but it is not yet completely normal. So, as I mentioned, it was not addressed in the budget. So, do you think this is a lacuna, and do you expect some further revisions in the budget to address this issue? Any of you can take it up.
So, I'm not very sure about the policy matter, because just to say, as it can be, it becomes your asset and you can take the depreciation benefits. I don't think government will look at it, at least for this year. I think it's already gone by. I don't think there is any amendment. But just to come from my end, we always believed in mobile infrastructure. All our employees had the laptops and the mobile phones on a go. The internet was always available, and we never had a fixed place for any sales or a pre-sales guys to sit. I'm saying it was a mobile office. While we had an office, or we still have an office, there's nothing called as a fixed place for any individual except the backend people. So that actually helped us adopt the work from home much faster. And I think most of the companies have already learned and adopted that, and have already invested. I don't think, while that is a good aspect and that would definitely would have been an advantage for most of us in the business, while it would have been an expense, but I'm not very sure if government would relook at that kind of decision in the near future.
So, thanks. Anyone else would like to add in terms of for mid-sized companies, the expenditure that was incurred in sort of your workforce working from home, and what are your expectations around that? If there can be some amendments in the budget, anyone else would like to add?
Yeah, okay. So I'll take it up. So basically, Rajni, as Hari said, basically, people like us has not much different because majority of us were already on mobile or on work from anywhere kind of a situation. Nobody has got a fixed place anywhere, only except some backend people. Otherwise, everybody was on mobile always. So that. But yes, those real MSME sort of a thing where probably a CA firm or a small manufacturing firm, they had a lot of problem because they were not mobile. They were thinking the data is very critical. How do we allow people to access from anywhere? So they did not move early and probably they got stuck and they had to move haphazardly. Of course, money point of view, they would have faced, yeah, it's a unexpected or unbudgeted expenses. But they did it because they waited for a month. I think so. April people started thinking, let's go. They thought they will start by May, but then they realized and they spend money. So definitely, whenever government will get back this amendment or whatever it is, it's going to be beneficial to a lot of people because now people will take that advantage of work from anywhere. So people like us in the SI fraternity or technology industry has not much affected. I'll be honest with you because anyway, our office application was on cloud, our ERP was on cloud, so really not much of the difference. Like we went home on 20th of March and probably we were operational from 21st March. So I don't think so. Technology people has really suffered anything. Yeah, Rajneesh.
Okay.
So, to an extent, agreed completely with Jiten Bhai and Hari Krishna ji. I have certain, so companies like us, for example, wherein we are having certain projects with the overseas clients or at times even with the local clients out here, which requires a typical type and level of the IT infrastructure, which cannot be replicated at somebody's home or from anywhere where they are going to work from. And in certain scenarios, work from home allowances having been considered towards exemption would have really helped. And that is something that was an ask which was also conveyed to the government at a point in time when they had sought for the various suggestions, as Jiten had previously also said. It is being considered and we are hopeful that it will be taken up, though it has not been addressed so clearly in the speech or the budget document that is being in our hand right now. But largely from the IT service providers' activities, it didn't affect, agreed. We were mentally, psychologically, and equipment or the infrastructure was also ready. But at the same time, in certain projects, in certain scenarios, work from home, replicating the similar kind of infrastructure is a challenge right now also and will be a challenge in future. So probably such kind of expenditures will be required to be considered as an exemption by the government. Well, that's a submission from our side, very strong submission.
Okay, thanks. This is sort of, Alok, I'd come to you in terms of what overall the panelists were discussing, and even over and above that, in terms of COVID relief, were you expecting something else in terms of, if I may say, COVID relief terms from the government in this budget? And do you expect any further amendments to happen to sort of offer to the MSMEs and even the mid-sized companies some sort of COVID relief for their functioning? Alok.
Well, there were certain expectations in the market regarding COVID relief, which have not come through. Essentially, because the government really doesn't is not able to control whether that targeted relief will actually be targeted to the right companies. There were certain sectors like tourism, travel, uh, even restaurants, which are very badly hit and which could have seen some kind of extra effort to help them overcome this very difficult period for them. I don't see much change coming in because the budget has been widely accepted and appreciated across the different segments of industry. So, major amendments of any type, I do not expect them to happen. So, I think it will go on as business as usual. So, not much to change because when the government has seen, they've seen the market go up, they've seen a lot of industry icons appreciating the budget. So they will not make any changes to it. Some anomalies maybe changed in case there are any errors or something. But I don't see any major changes in the budget.
Okay, thank you. So now, since all of you are specifically from the technology segment, and we have seen encouragement of AI, ML. So overall, from a new technology or these newer technology adoption perspective, how do you see the budget sort of incentivizing or further encouraging, and do you see the outcome will be further mainstream adoption of these newer technologies? Is a question again open to all of you. All of you are coming from the technology sector. So how will this impact the outcome of adoption of newer technologies?
Anybody? Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me take it. So, as I started, Rajneesh, so it is an advantage for the people like us because government has recognized that technology is important. I've been saying this, right? And newer technologies, there are two ways to look at it. As we are looking at digitization, as we are looking at more and more openness coming in terms of payment, e-payments and other things, the technology orientation or technology adoption will be on the higher side. And every day there is a new security need, every day there is a new technology need in the market, and every day there is a new problem solving solution that needs to be looked at and that needs to be recognized and that needs to be very quickly adopted. And that is going to happen for sure. I just want to give you my example, my own example. We are just about 7-8-year-old company, and when we started, we always looked at a newer technology adoption or newer technology introduction to the country, and that actually helped us during the pandemic. Whatever the new technologies that we were talking about in terms of it could be sort of the way you back up, to where you preserve the data, to where you secure the data, or it could be anything for that matter, actually helped. That means the customers, the consumers, the whole world is looking at newer and newer technologies which will actually help them solve their problems in a much elegant or a much easier manner, on obviously very economical manner. I think that's bound to happen, and that will be on a rise. It could be in terms of, as I said, it could be a very a basic hardware to a security solution to it could be anything for that matter. There are lots of such newer and newer technologies or the solutions coming in. And adding to that, thanks to Atmanirbhar, thanks to Make in India, I think there are a lot of products or the solutions that are being, actually developed or produced or even, sort of promoted by the Indian companies. And these are all very sort of new age sort of new thinking kind of technologies and the solutions that will have a major adoption increase in the country. And I'm sure we all together should make it happen, which will possibly help one, the vision Atmanirbhar to Atmanirbhar to be achieved. The second one possibly helps our customers solve their problems in a much better manner. I think that's going to happen.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone would like to add on the newer technologies, encouragement of newer technologies?
I will do so. Just adding on to it, Hare Krishna Prabhuji has covered it perfectly. But having said that, the announcement of the GIFT, the FinTech Hub, the world-class FinTech Hub, the top-notch FinTech Hub that government is planning to set up at GIFT City in Gandhinagar, Gujarat. The resolve, in fact, it was already there, and now the resolve is there by the government itself is a clear-cut indication of the ancillary and the ancillary ecosystem, the tech ecosystem, which is going to come out there, because government is actually encouraging the BSFI global level service provider HOs out there at FinTech City or at Gandhinagar, GIFT City. Having said that, the resolve of the government itself is a flagship or rather flag bearer in many of the technology adoption, and people look onto it. And when the FM herself was speaking out of a tab instead of the traditional khata, a document that she normally speaks from, itself is it was a sign of the technology adoption that we all have gone ahead with during this pandemic period. I am aware of Gujarat is predominantly a manufacturing hub of the MSME scale, and we are aware of the places where lots of AR VR was being adopted during the pandemic. And the same boost is going to go on in future, looking at the way in which the companies are seeing that government itself is resolved towards adoption of technology. So it's very natural, as Hare Krishna ji has said, it is very natural that it is going to rule the roost. In fact, I would put it this way: I am seeing lots of startups gung ho about the technology adoption being done by the MSMEs. And it is very evident out here in Gujarat.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have paucity of time, so this will be the last question. So last question, I'll try to make it very brief and succinct. I will ask each of you, just for a moment, don the hat of the finance minister. Think you are in madam's position, and then keeping in light that you have presented this budget, what would be one thing to each of you would you think would be the highlight or the most important thing that you presented in the budget? Think as yourself as a finance minister and the most important thing that you presented in the budget.
I'll take it.
Yeah, sure.
So as a country, as a populous country and one of the third world countries of the backward countries we used to be, healthcare issues were much higher and the investment in the healthcare was not at all there. We always had a major issue in terms of healthcare, and the big investment or the big boost coming into healthcare is actually a very big welcome sign. And I think that is one thing which will lead us to futuristic India, because health is what matters and rest all will follow.
Okay, thank you. Jitan Bhai?
Yeah, I would say two things. One thing is she has taken care of Aam Janta, basically, where probably, as you all are aware, the senior citizen does not have to file return. One of the good things, which is the most tedious when you cross 70, 75 and above, and a faceless DRC. Dispute redressal committee. I think so this too would definitely give you boost to get more people enrolled for ITR probably. Anyway, it has been crossed double 6 crores from 3 crores in last 4 years. I'm sure with these two initiatives, the number of taxpayers will increase and probably it will help reducing tax further. Anyway, today corporate has moved to 22%. So it helps, probably will reduce the tax in future. The DRC and the faceless. It's going to be the biggest boost for any analyst, any salary employed, basically, or any of the MSME owners, I would say, probably.
while I'm agreeing with both my earlier friends who spoke before me, Hari Krishna ji and Jiten, categorically, according to me, the growth engine or the growth boosters, I was able to, if I'm donning the hat, I was able to include in my budgetary plan, which was from the point of view of physical and financial capital and infrastructure, is something that was an achievement in spite of the incredible trying time that the entire globe and we as a most populous country in the world went through. So the democratic populous country in the world went through. So having said that, physical and financial capital and infrastructure is going to act as a growth booster, and that's going to impact every one of us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alok?
Alok, I think you're muted.
Yeah. I think the emphasis which is this year on the health budget is something which will improve the general health of the country, and I would believe that I would want to continue this kind of the increase which has happened. It should not diminish the next year. This should be a permanent aspect of the budget. Spending on core activities of human development like education and health should be the chunk of the money which the government should be spending. And these are some sectors which improve the standard of living and the quality of living of the countrymen. So more and more funds, as they can be allocated, should be allocated to this sector. It is right now, currently the government is spending a lot of infrastructure, and this possibly over the period of next few years should go into private hands. That means the private people should be encouraged into spending into highways, into ports, on all those infrastructure, while the government should focus on health and education in the long term and in the short term, both.
Very good.
Very true.
Thanks to all of you. We will conclude this here, and thanks to all the panelists again.